Good morning. Sorry, it took me a minute or two to get going. A little bit of technology going on. So, welcome. Welcome, dear ones, and happy winter solstice. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to talk about our nervous systems and what it's learning to do with this timing of all of these astrological events and this plasma energy fields increasing on our planet. So, let's start. So we're 2 days past the new moon on the 19th. New moon in Sagittarius, right? And we're also at the hills of the three-eye atlas. Because if you've been tracking that, you would know that it's closest to the Earth on the 19th, and that it's, according to some people, just went on by. It was a non-event, and others were saying it was communicating and um, transferring information and energy the whole time. That's up to you to understand and know. For me, I'm going to say that it was the most intense last 2 days I've experienced, with a lot of buzzing in my ears, sort of electricity in my head, lots of information coming in. So we support each other as we go through this, right? Tonight we cross, well, actually started early this morning at 8:03, but I always think of winter solstice at night because it's the longest night of the year. It's the still point of the year here in the northern hemisphere, and it's the peak of summer in the southern hemisphere, right? It's also this winter solstice is aligned with the galactic center per Julia Blas. Now that makes it even more interesting. It means that we've been having these big events. We still have Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. We have Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees. We have the Sagittarius New Moon, and we had three-eye atlas all pulling beyond some of what the other planets are doing, which by all means go watch your astrologers to find out what they're saying. For me, I'm saying this is a very intense closing of 2025, and a really interesting way to sort of head into 26, right? What I want to say something really clearly is that I'm not here today to explain everything. I wanted to give you a little bit of background, but mostly I'm here today to orient you and to each of us, to name what many of us are feeling and struggling to articulate, to normalize what our body's feeling and our nervous system already understands, and to help restore trust in your own intelligences, especially right now. Because what many of us are calling symptoms are actually signs of recalibration under acceleration. Acceleration, think things are speeding up, and now we are under this recalibration integration phase. So the timing of the winter solstice is absolutely perfect because it's about stillness, right? So our nervous system isn't breaking. There's a lot of talk right now about nervous system overwhelm, upgrades, collapse, burnout. But I want to frame this for you. I want you to feel into the nervous system isn't breaking, it's learning how to stop bracing for the environment. For years, lifetimes, really, we've learned to live in a state of subtle contraction. That makes sense because I've noticed that. And this started to show up for me about 6 to 8 weeks ago, when even doing the dishes, I'd realize everything's pulled in tight and my shoulders are braced, like, what's next? Or I got to get these things done first. And there's this bracing, right? Where we hold ourselves together, we push through sensations, we override signals, and we stay alert, prepared, and even armored up, because acceleration doesn't reward that anymore. It's almost like the faster we go, that armoring, that overriding isn't going to work. It's not going to help us read what's going on. So what's happening now isn't about more energy coming in. It's about the old bracing finally being allowed to discharge. So we're almost there's some stiffness in our body as we're letting go. And that can feel strange. It can feel really disorienting. And it can feel like you don't recognize yourself in the moment. Like, I don't have the high energy I used to have. I don't have the distraction I used to have. I don't have the backbone that I used to have. And you're like, yeah, I do. It's just very different. That doesn't mean that you're losing coherence. It means that your system is becoming honest to you. It's actually showing you what your nervous system really is underneath all of this fear, all underneath all of this posturing, underneath all of this bracing, right? So, many of you know that I pull a tarot spread at the new moon, and it's a 28-day spread that I learned at the Alchemy Mystery School in 2018. And I've been doing it faithfully every moon phase since then. And this new moon spread that I found, these three cards have started in the last, probably 3 or 4 moon phases, giving me information that I can then bring to you. It's showing me through the cards as a tarot reader, as I know that it does, right? What's going on. So the first is that the 9 of discs, and this is the thought deck of the 9 of discs. This is the Osho deck. So this is called gain, and in Osho it's called ripeness, and in light seers it's just this beauty. It doesn't have a name. It's just called the 9 of Pentacles, right? So with these 3 cards, what we're noticing is that we're learning to live inside our body again. We're learning to embody. We're learning to trust the physical sort of presence of this earth, not performing, not proving, just inhabiting ourselves. And so I thought that was super interesting because that's sort of the pace of the next 28 days, which is how do we embody? How do we hold ourselves? And then the part that sort of blew me away was that crossing that was the 8 of Cups. And within the thought deck, that's called indolence. Over here, it's called letting go within the Osho. And I love this version of the light seers where she's walking away from something. She's put it down. There's a fire going in the bowl and she's walking away. So we're walking away from effort-based identities is how I would say that, right? From emotional labor that was never really yours. So when we think of the 8 of Cups, we think of emotional labor, absolutely trying to deal with energy all the time that isn't even ours. And we need to just keep going just to be seen as okay. And that emotional labor is hard to carry. So we just, where is she? Put it down and we walk away, right? We let it go. I loved how this came about. And then, with the fact that there's every phase, moon phase. So at the new moon, there's a card. At the crescent, there's a card. At the first quarter, there's a card. The card that I pulled, which is interesting, is the Devil card. Now, this is a little Capricorn, scary-ish devil card, right? Then what we have is the Osho, which I've shown you several times, called conditioning. And then this is what the light seers looks like. And so within these 3 cards, what we're seeing is not fear, but release from survival loops, release, especially in this one, sort of the DNA, the phallic symbol of like how our lineage impacts us, the traps we get into with our lineage, and sort of the manipulations that go when we're trying to please everyone in the family, right? So we're releasing from survival loops. We're releasing from pressure addiction, from the belief that rest equals danger. That if we stop, then the condition is you're lazy, you're horrible, you didn't do what you needed to do this holiday. You really just stopped participating and being interesting in 2025. And you're like, yep, I did. It's true because I'm not collapsing. You're not collapsing. What's happening is that we're liberating from false necessity, from false worlds that no longer serve us. So we're observing all of this as we're accelerating forward. Makes sense. So acceleration doesn't mean that you move faster. It means that you observe more clearly. So when we accelerate, it's like, oh, it didn't take me 10 minutes to figure something out. It took me 1 to 2 seconds. So we feel the sensation before the story. We notice the contradiction before the explanation. We can already tell what that person is going to try to do, right? This is the perfect card for that. We trust our body's timing more than our mind's urgency. This is where the advanced nervous system intelligence, and many of you are learning this in real time, the intelligence starts to lead us. So, what we want to do today is I want to shift off of the tips and I want to offer permissions. So, I have 6 permissions for you. And before I go into those permissions, I want to do what I usually do each week, which is remind you that I have a Patreon um, channel, a Patreon site. You can sign up for free and read all of the posts. And now we're just, oh, it just something started about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where everybody who's a member who's signed up on here is starting to post, and we're starting to share a lot more interesting things. However, the piece that is really fun about this Patreon is for $11 a month, you can be part of the discussion group. And we've had 9, 10 people, and the faces are new and they're changing. And yet there's these solid anchors from some of us who've been there from the very beginning. So if you want to come and discuss some of this, I usually put a couple of questions or topics out ahead of time in a mailing. Come and join Patreon. I would love to see you there. We would all love to see you there. So let's go into this thing called permissions, right? Because self permission, right? I don't, number one, okay, I just jumped into it because it was so exciting. Number one, you don't need to explain what you're feeling. I give myself permission not to explain how I'm feeling. You don't owe clarity, you don't owe coherence. And if something doesn't make sense to you, let it not make sense, because orientation happens after we settle, not before. So we're not going to understand it until we bring it in, we get used to it, we integrate it, right? We orient ourselves to it, and then we're like, oh, that's what that is. So the example I would use is that bracing. Once I started to realize that my body was always in a state of bracing, that armor was up, it was like letting it settle and then start to go, can I feel the bracing? Not anymore. What changed? So I'm giving myself permission, right, to not explain how I'm feeling when it's going on, and to give myself some time. Permission number 2. You are allowed to rest without justification. Rest is not a reward. It's a recalibration tool. Remember that. This isn't a reward you give yourself. Like if I work my butt off for the whole day, that I get to lay on the couch and watch a couple of episodes of Emily in Paris or something really, like doesn't even, just let it go by. But it's a recalibration tool. And when we rest, we're letting our body know how to reset. So we let it. Make sense? Permission number 3. Sensation is more trustworthy than interpretation. So this is where that fog and that heaviness and that emotion and that withdrawal and that stillness, these are all data points. These are giving you information. They're not problems to solve. So listen before you label it, like, oh, I must be getting sick. Oh, I'm burnt out. Oh, my nervous system is in high reaction. It's more like my sensations in my body are telling me something. How do I just listen to what they're saying? Maybe it's holding a lot more than we thought it was, and it needs rest and it needs sensation listening. Makes sense, right? So number 3 is that sensation is more trustworthy than interpretation. Number 4, permission number 4 is to withdraw can be wisdom. To withdraw from the world. So I was supposed to get in the car after this and drive down to Missoula to go see my new grandbaby and do Winter Solstice with my daughter. Forgot I had some things going tomorrow and was going to be either coming back tonight or spending the night. And I just said, I need to reschedule. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you, because I need to reschedule. I just want a day on the couch. I want a day of holding the baby. She needs some mama time. And I'm like, yes. So stepping back doesn't mean that you're avoiding life. It means that your system is reorganizing priorities on a deeper level. And so I noticed that it's going to be much more important for me to do my rest and recalibration today rather than a 2.5 hour drive on ice in the winter to go down for a little while. So retreat can be intelligence, not fear and not failure. Make sense? Permission number 5. You don't need to decide anything right now. December is not the time for decisions. I know everybody wants you to set these New Year's resolutions and bring the fourth quarter to a close at work and blah, 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 blah. But acceleration can make us feel something must be done immediately. And that is not what we're talking about. Often the most aligned move we can make is waiting for clarity to arrive to us on its own. So when we're looking at, you don't need to decide anything. What you have to do is provide the space and the stillness for clarity to settle in and go, oh, that's what this is. And that makes a very big difference in how we govern ourselves, how we hold our sovereignty. Permission number 6. Have deep compassion for yourself because this is essential. This is the one that matters the most. Your body and your nervous system and your emotional field are doing something humanity has never done before on this scale. Confusion is happening, it's not failure. Exhaustion is happening, it's not weakness. Slowness is happening, and it's not regression. Self-compassion, we've spoken about this, is a stabilizer. When you soften toward yourself, your system settles. When it settles, coherence returns. And when coherence returns, right, trust rebuilds, and we are naturally back into our body in full embodiment. So before I close, I'd like to offer a brief moment for you in your nervous system to settle, especially if you've been accelerated, emotional, or a bit unmoored lately. Love that word, unmoored. I felt like I've been unmoored all week. So if it feels safe to you, place one hand on your chest and one hand on your lower belly. And take a slow breath in through your nose and a longer breath out through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. You don't need to do anything else. Just notice the weight of your body where you're sitting. Notice the ground is holding you. Take another breath, slow and easy. And if your mind starts explaining, gently return to sensation, the warmth of your hands on your chest, the rhythm of your breath, and the feeling of being here. There's nothing you need to solve right now, nothing you need to do to decide. Your nervous system knows how to settle when it's allowed to. So take one last breath in and out. And when you're ready, softly open your eyes or bring your awareness back. And thank yourself for listening to your body today. So as we move into the winter solstice, this settling is the work. This is the deepest work you can do. Listening inward, letting the light return quietly without effort. So we're going to speak more about this solstice next week once it's landed, right? You don't need to process it now. So for now, I'm going to keep you in that nice, beautiful, still spot and say goodbye. Happy solstice. Happy Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.